and this is the Death Knight 7.2 update. Now, a couple changes had to be made to Unholy. For one thing, Festering Strike was appearing a bit too much, and that was because I set the Festering Wounds condition a bit too high. I've since lowered it, so now it should show up much less often, and I've had to also adjust Scourge Strike. There was a bug in the previous version where Scourge Strike will appear only if you have the Soul Reaper talent taken. It was very strict about how it was going to show up, and that was because of a condition I forgot to remove when I had redone the rotation a couple months ago. That's since been corrected, so now Scourge Strike will show up normally, and it'll have you pop those wounds as much as you possibly can, maintaining a certain value of them. It tries to float around the 5 marker, and every time it gets to 5, that's when you would see Festering Strike appear again, and that's so that you can take advantage of your Apocalypse ability as well as other abilities, and not really have to worry about downtime on those. As I said, though, Scourge Strike and Death Coil will appear in the rotation much more frequently, and the rotation as a whole has been sped up a little bit because I've increased its consistency in how you use certain spells. All that being said, however, one thing I want to point out to players who may not be familiar with Unholy is that it is a slow spec. If you were coming into it with the mindset of it being similar to Frost or other classes like Warrior, where you always have actions to press, that's not how Unholy works. There is downtime in Unholy, so when there is nothing in the box to press, that's not a bug. That is very literally meaning that there's nothing that you can use or should use at that moment. So, for all those who have been saying it feels really slow and clunky, unfortunately, that's just how Unholy plays, and you'll see that even in the top play. Moving into Frost, however, a few things have been tweaked. I've went ahead and I increased the rhyme priority to up a couple spots, and I've also adjusted the priorities of some spells so that they won't appear as often. When you use Breathless Indragosa, it will go into a full-on regen mode. It'll have you use as many oblits as you possibly can. It'll have you use any procs you can to try and keep your runic power up as high as possible so that you can extend the Breathless Indragosa as long as you can. In personal testing, I was able to get it about a minute just in the level 100 gear that my Death Knight has. But you will see that it will have you use that ability much more often, and also keep it up for a maximum amount of time. But the big thing to remember here is to follow what you see in the center. Don't just spam buttons. This is not a spam class. You need to use abilities very smart if you want to maximize the amount of damage you can get out of Frost. All that being said, all these spells are there for you to use whenever you'd like, and it is set up so that it will maximize your single target DPS. Now for Blood, a complete change has happened since the original, or since the last, and that is that the layout has been completely reworked to be more in line with the other tank profiles, and there's now a rotation, and that rotation is set up around maximizing the amount of bone shield stacks you have, as well as maximizing the amount of damage and runic power you're generating. A couple conditions had to be added in for Death and Decay and a few other abilities, and generally speaking, it's going to have you use your blood runes pretty quickly, and I had to make some adjustments for Death Strike, so now not only will it take into account your runic power so you don't overcap, it'll also take into account how much health you actually have, and it'll have you heal more often. All that being said, all the trackers are there. It's meant to look more like a DPS profile while also giving you all the tanking information you need, and I got rid of a lot of clutter and other unnecessary abilities as well. But yeah, that's all the changes for Death Knight. I hope you guys like what you see. As always, your feedback is very important for making these profiles work, and just like the other profiles, there is now the combat and profile toggles that work just as well, and the tier tracker has been added in for future references. But yeah, I hope you guys like what you see, and I will catch you in the next video.